Hey everybody, welcome back to Golf Test Dummy, the channel where I use my game to help your game. Welcome to the very first episode of Sundays at 3 with GTD. Now, I know what you're thinking, what the hell is Sundays at 3 with GTD? And if you've been following along, you know that I upload every Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, as I'm here on the East Coast of the United States. Happy New Year, by the way. So Sundays at 3 from now on, I respond to some of your comments and questions from the previous week. As this is the first episode, obviously I don't have any questions or comments on this one as of yet, but next week, next Sunday at 3, when the next video uploads, I'm going to come back to this video, find some of your questions and answer them, and respond to some of your comments in person on camera rather than just typing in. Now, I've written down some questions. These are some frequently asked questions or some common comments. Let's get to some questions. Question number 1, for sure, like the number 1 question that I get asked so often. What happened to the JVGA swing? Why am I not using the Jim Venetos golf swing anymore? I get this question all the time. I even created a video. There's a video on my channel explaining everything. And if you look at the thumbnail, it'll say what happened, and it's me in a hat sitting here like this. I think the title of it is, why did you stop using the JVGA swing? Or something like that. But go check that out if you have that question. Basically, to nutshell it, this channel is all about exploration, all types of golf swings, golf drills, golf tools, golf equipment, different strategies, approaches. You name it, this channel is all about exploring all sorts of different ideas. As we all know, there are many ways to hit a golf ball. There are many different swings. They are like snowflakes. No two are alike. And to sit there and believe that one philosophy or one way of hitting a golf ball is the only way, I just think is so just short-sighted. There's a lot of things that you guys haven't heard of. There's a lot of swings, a lot of coaches, a lot of different techniques, a lot of drills that a lot of people have not heard of, and I try to expose a lot of people to a lot of those ideas. That's what this channel is all about. And in doing so, in trying to explore and try out things in my golf game, I hope to help you with yours. The second question, I get this one all the time as well. Have you tried the Kirk Junge swing? I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know. I've never spoken to Kirk. And I don't know that I've ever heard anybody pronounce his name. I've only seen it spelled out. He may pronounce it in his videos, though, and I may be butchering that. But I think the J makes a Y sound, and then the E is sort of an sound. So I think it's Kirk Junge. I'll explain a little bit about this. Basically, what he's teaching is a single plane swing, a one plane swing. And I've got no issues with that whatsoever. Mo Norman was a single plane swinger. Todd Graves, great coach. Tons of great video out there. If you haven't gone to see Todd Graves, the single plane swing, tons of great stuff. Bryson DeChambeau, I mean, he's making the single plane swing popular, along with his huge long distances and his approach to the game that is very scientific. But for the single plane swing, I've found, and Mo Norman even talks about this. I mean, if you look at Mo Norman's clubs, my God, they didn't even look like golf clubs by the time he got finished with them. But when you're talking about the single plane swing, you're probably talking about modifying your existing equipment. And if you have cast clubs, then you can't bend those. And it would have to be forged clubs that you have to get. And I don't know that for a fact. There may be people out there using standard loft and lie equipment, and they do the single plane swing just fine. But going down that road is such a huge change. And when I did that with the Jim Venetos system, it has taken me a long time to try and go to something else and get away from that because it was so incredibly different from everything else out there. So for now, when it comes to Kirk Junge's approach, I love what he's doing. I think he's got great information on his videos. I have no intention of trying that at this point. That's a bigger bite than I want to take out of that particular sandwich right now. I had somebody ask me this the other day, and I don't get this question that often, but it is a great question. And it's one that is probably what a lot of you are asking yourselves, and that you ask of tons of coaches and high-level golfers. And it's the opinion that I have on it is probably going to be something that could get me set on fire by the crowds. But as unpopular as my answer may be, and as controversial as my opinion may be on this, I feel like it's my experience. The answer can't be wrong. You know, this is what I went through. So if you've watched the JVGA series that I did, there's an episode where I went through and I got fitted for clubs. And I waited until I had been in that program for quite a while and I felt like my swing was getting dialed into where it should be before I went and did the club fitting. Imagine Sniper has his rifle. Now imagine 200 yards offshore, there is a bucking bull with a little target stick sticking out of his back. And he's bucking and he's going crazy and he's all over this field. You're trying to hit that target. How possible is that going to be? It's going to be incredibly difficult. If you are someone who has swung the same way for a very long time and you have zero inclination to tinker with your swing, it's going to be the same all the time. I feel like club fitting could completely be of benefit to you. But if you are someone, especially like me, who tinkers with their swing and messes with things and changes it up, and you don't know from one day to the next or 1 week to the next exactly, what you're going to be doing with your body or with the golf club or with the golf ball. Club fitting is the equivalent of trying to hit a moving target. I think the only way that club fitting can be beneficial is if the person who is being fitted is very, very consistent. I just think that that is damn near impossible. And if you are consistent and you get the same old ball flights all the time and you're not changing and you're going to stay the same way, club fitting I feel like can benefit you. But if you are not in a consistent place, you're making swing changes, you tinker, whatever, you might as well forget the club fitting because they can't hit a moving target with that. They need to know what they're trying to rectify and what they're trying to fix. Now here's a comment that I get all the time. Try the Eureka Swing. Try the Eureka Swing. Okay. Now, Steve Johnston, PGA, has a very successful YouTube channel. He's got tens of thousands of subscribers. He has great videos. I love his accent. He's funny. I mean, he just packages everything up so well, and he really puts out good content. And I haven't reached out to Steve to try and speak to him at any point, but I do watch a lot of his content, and I've definitely seen the Eureka Swing, and I understand what it is. However, Eureka is not a swing. It is a setup change. I mean, basically, he's not trying to change how you swing the club. What he's doing is aligning your body to the left. Then he's got his target line, and then he's swinging out to the right. It's not a huge difference. It's a setup difference. You're not changing the way you swing. And I know a lot of you would say, well, Jim Venetos is not trying to change the way you swing either. He's making a setup change. Most of this stuff is a setup change. The right side swing from Gary Edwin is a setup change. And I'll agree with you there, but there are also other mechanics involved with that. And from what I've seen of the Eureka Swing, you aim left of your target line, you lay down the three sticks, and then you swing out to the right. But he's not talking about keeping your weight left. He's not talking about using your hips. He's not talking about, hey, make sure you get a stronger grip and keep this elbow tucked in. He's not talking about anything like that. That's in his normal teachings. He does teach all sorts of techniques and swing models and things like that. But as far as Eureka goes, it's a setup. It's a way of setting up in order to promote the type of club path that you want, but it's not a swing method. So, I mean, I can play around with my aim and things like that all day, but as far as calling that Eureka, I don't know. To me, that's not a swing method. That is a setup method. That's an aim sort of area. And the last one. I've gotten this one a few times, and I would not say that it is a frequent question, but this question is a biggie. It is a biggie, and I'm going to try to do my best to answer it here. Of all the swings you've tried, which one is the best? Wow, that is such a tough question. That is such a tough question. Let me see if I can try to answer this without just giving you the runaround and try to actually give you an answer to this that is satisfactory. So I go back to my very first thought on this, and I say again that to think that only one way is the way to hit a golf ball for everybody is just insanity to me. Now, you can have people get good results more with this one than with that one, maybe, is a whole. If you took 1 million golfers and you had them try all these different swings, maybe the majority of them, maybe 60% of them, this method works for more than these other methods. But everybody has to find their own way. They have to find their own path. And I have to do the same thing. So I talk to people all the time who have great success with right-sided swing. I talk to people who have great success with single plane, with the JVGA method, with the Zen Golf flow motion approach. And I could pro and con it and tell you, well, this one does this and this one does this, and I didn't like this about that one, but I didn't like this about that one, but then this one and that one and the other one. I could do that all day, but basically, I'm going to try and give you the most satisfaction you can possibly have right now. And I fully expect to lose subscribers over this because you guys sometimes you're stuck on your one way, and if I'm not giving credence to your way, you're out of here. If you go back, way back at the beginnings of GTD, you'll see that I messed around with Sean Clement. You'll see that I even messed around with some George Ganka stuff on the range before. So Jim Venetos was just my first formal, in-depth, long-term review. If you take all of those 5, I would say, and just let's consider that to be the 5 systems that I've reviewed. I would say that, number 1, my least favorite has got to be the George Gankas method. Not that I don't think it has credence. I mean, he works with all kinds of people, but the vast majority of his stable is younger people, more athletic people, more flexible people, stronger people, and also people who devote a lot of time to the game. The movements in his swing, while they are very sound and they make a lot of sense, they also require a great deal of dedication and time and ability to be able to pull them off with some sort of competence and consistency. So I would say that's probably my least favorite. After that, I really like Zen Golf, and I really did have some success with it, and I like the freedom that comes along with it. However, as a methodology, I've had a lot of people tell me that I don't quite understand what Zen Golf is trying to teach, and that if I could go for a lesson with Marcus Bell and get on the footboard with him and the pressure mats and all that, and work with him, that I would see some great results. And I have zero doubt that that would be the case. However, I don't have access to Marcus Bell. I don't have access to Stefan Bachos or anybody with flow motion. I don't even have access to Robin Matthews Williams to be able to teach me. So without that kind of instruction, I can't really get everything that I need from those videos, because his videos are all personalized, specialized instruction for that particular student that he's working with that day. And one of the big things that I talk about with my series is, what can I learn from just following what's available on YouTube? I'm not talking about going for lessons with people. If I went to go work with George Gankas, or if I went to work with Marcus Bell, or if I went to work with Steve Johnston or any of these guys, I would have success because I'm working in person with those people. But I'm talking about what you can get just by teaching yourself from YouTube. That's part of the premise of this entire channel. So I would say, if I have to have lessons with Marcus Bell or Stefan Bachos in order to get this whole thing down and fully understand it, as I've been told from people who've actually had lessons from Marcus Bell, then I would say that it has to fall near the bottom of the list, because quite frankly, it doesn't sound like it's something that everybody can pick up just off of YouTube. Now, that being said, I did get some benefits from Zen Golf. I did learn some different things and sort of figuring out that, hey, golf and the positions, they don't have to be so perfect. It's more about momentum and flowing and all that, and that's great that I learned that. Now, if I had to put one third, I would say that probably the JVGA system would be third, and I'll tell you why. I love working with Jim. Jim is an amazing person. He is an amazing teacher. He has a great way of speaking, and it's just, his philosophy is incredibly sound. It is incredibly sound. And the ideals and the positions, the setup and all that he puts forth, if you follow those, you will no doubt get those tight draws that he's talking about, and you'll get the consistency that you're looking for. There are a few things, however, that make him in the middle of the list rather than at the top of the list. And I'll say that it's mostly because, as far as not just me, thinking about a lot of other people, the reason that it's not as popular is because it's a funky setup. It's not a setup that a lot of people want to get into. The setup in the Jim Venetos system, a lot of people are put off by that because they don't want to look weird in front of their normal foursome or strangers. And it does look that way. Now, it didn't personally bother me. It didn't bother me, but as far as something that I review for you guys, something that you should try. I feel like a lot of you are going to try it out and you're going to abandon it after a time. Not everybody, but most people. He certainly has a pretty decent sized following and they get good results. But I feel like a lot of people would abandon it over time just because they don't want to look weird in front of people. I review things for average golfers. I don't review them for everybody. I review them for the people that to try and see what's going to be of benefit to them. And if they're not going to stick with it and they're not going to stay with the program and just forget what people think about them, then it's not the program for you. Second in line, I guess, number 2 on the list would be the right-sided swing. But the right-sided swing, I feel like it was fantastic. The contact was crisp. It was pretty simple. I had people that were telling me that I was doing that wrong as well. But again, I go through and I get what I can from these YouTube videos. If I could go work with Gary Edwin, I'm sure I would have a great understanding of it, and he would be able to get me to be a perfect right-sided swinger in no time. But his videos are limited on YouTube. There's not a whole lot of content out there. He's really wanting you to either sign up for the school or come and take lessons at the school or whatever. So the next best thing to Gary was the Ewan Rankine channel that I sent a lot of you to in my video review series. He's got a lot of great stuff. But, as far as the right-sided swing, I felt like it was fantastic. And I did have a lot of success with it, and I really liked it. And I think it's definitely, got to be second on the list for me. Which would bring me to Sean Clement. Now, I have to put an asterisk beside this one because it's not just Sean Clement. It's people who teach the way that Sean Clement does and put forth the type of swing model that he puts forth. And I'm not talking about necessarily how he finishes really weird up over his head that puts some people off. I've heard a lot of people say, look, I like Sean Clement, but honestly, that helicopter finish at the top, I can't watch that. It just puts me off. And I understand that. And I get it. It's not a normal finish. But he's not teaching you, how he wants the club to look for him. He's trying to teach you how to swing the club in your way. And he doesn't get so stuck into positions, and he doesn't get into all this P1 and P4 stuff like George Gankus does or a lot of coaches do now. He teaches a little bit of conventional golf, that's true, but mostly what he's teaching is kind of unconventional because he gets you task-oriented. And I just feel like the task-oriented brain, the way he goes about it, trying to cut dandelions, or trying to heave something up and cut grass in that direction. All of that stuff is just, that to me is the most relatable that a golf swing can be made. That's exactly how I think golf should be taught. And that's exactly the direction that I think we should all be moving toward. We get so into this, I'm across the line, I'm laid off, overswung, look, early extension, my hips aren't turning enough, my shoulder line, this plane is not 137. We get so bogged down in that stuff that it just makes golf so difficult. But when you talk about like an A.J. Bonar, you talk about Sean Clement, you talk about these guys who are task-oriented. You give yourself a task, and then you just try to complete that task. But anyway, that's my questions. That's what I've got so far for now. Now, what I need you to do is leave me some questions and or comments, and it's fine. Go ahead, cuss me out. Leave me all the bad negative comments, and that's fine. I'll address them in next week's video. But then next Sunday at 3, join me back here again, and I'll answer your questions. I'll kind of give you a State of the Union once again. I'll probably involve hitting some golf shots just to show you what I'm working on. But being this is the introductory episode, I really wanted to get to some of these questions because I felt like these are frequently asked. These are talked about most often. It's what most people want to know about. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so by clicking the little red button down below this video. Off to the right, click the little bell, select all so that you're notified every time I upload content. Again, that's Tuesdays at 3 Eastern Standard Time and Sundays at 3 Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to leave comments or questions down below. Click the thumbs up button. I know this is a lot of instructions. Click the thumbs up button and share these videos around on social media. Please help the channel grow. I want to get more of you involved so that I can expose more and more of you to more and more things with golf that you may or may not have heard of, or maybe I have a little bit different take than you have seen or heard or thought yourself. And coming up in this year, I've got a really exciting announcement to make. I'm not going to make it yet, but it is coming at the beginning of this year. I have a partnership that I'm starting with a really cool company, and I'm going to be offering you guys some savings, some discounts, some promo codes, and you're going to get to see reviews on some of the products that they offer. Stick around. It's going to be a great 2021. Happy New Year to everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.